TunerTalk. So tonight we're going to talk about racing and not. We're not going to talk about Formula One. We're not going to talk about NASCAR. We're going to talk about racing that's available to pretty much the average person, to young,
accessible,
old, and easily accessible.
Yeah.
So probably the most accessible sport for the average person is drag racing.
Definitely.
Drag racing tracks nearby,
Absolutely.
even though a lot of these tracks are now becoming multiple courses.
I think it'll always be the most accessible.
Yeah, and I think it's not to
Really?
not to discount drag racing on the upper tier. It is pretty easy it's easy to do. It's not easy to do well. Just like any sport.
It's easy to get into, yeah.
Right. I mean, you could go play golf, but playing golf well takes a lot of practice.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, you go to a drag race, you line up, you watch other people race, you ask people questions, just like anything else.
Figure out how to time the lights.
You get a good launch.
Yeah.
And you have a good night, and the temperatures are right, and everything works with you. You have a good night. You get to race your friends or enemies.
Yeah.
Yeah. In an environment that's safe, where if anything happens, car gets banged up, whatever, but you're probably going to be fine. And we're talking about cars that run tens and up.
Well, maybe not the grassroots, but
but I mean tens and up. I mean the average. There's cars out there that you pull them out of the box and they run 12s.
That's true.
So and that's 13s used to be like a fast.
Yeah.
But now we're at all this horsepower. But drag racing, it's I don't know about being the cheapest. I mean, it can depending on where you go.
Yeah.
Depending on where you go, and it's really about how busy it is that night, because you might pay money and only get 2 runs.
That's true.
Or you might get 7 runs.
That's true.
Depends on what it is.
That's true.
But you can go out, you can have fun with your car. You can see what your car can do in a safe environment, and push your car and put your money where your mouth is. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, nothing fun is cheap, right?
No, you built the car, so that wasn't cheap either.
So you can get into drag racing for the cost of admission,
right?
But you're gonna run into I need to better my 60-foot time.
Tires.
I'm slow on the top end. You're gonna
lighten the car tires.
You're constantly gonna find reasons to spend money.
You're never done.
Yeah,
I know guys that their cars run 8s now, and they start out driving them to work. So, but I mean that's the easiest. I mean, you can ask around. There's a lot of drag racers you can walk up to and say, hey, what tire pressure you're running, and you ask questions as the amateur. Yeah. Walking into it. And some of these guys, they're very focused on what they're doing, and they get it to rock and roll. Mm-hmm. The thing that gets me is to go to the next step, which would probably be the next step of most accessible, would probably be drifting.
Yeah, that's very accessible for sure. Yeah,
and it is worlds different from drag racing.
Yes.
The drag racing cars are usually either street cars, and I know many people are going to be like, oh, I drive my drift car. I get it, but it's really not what you want to take to work.
No, there's definitely, so obviously this is my wheelhouse. And there comes a point where if you comes a point of seriousness, right, with drifting, where if you get to that point, you really can't drive it to work anymore because you're beating it up too much. Yeah, too much at the track, and not most people.
We've all done it. I mean, you buy this car that you're going to just drive to work.
Yeah.
And you start modifying
every car I've ever owned.
And you've murdered it to the point where it's purpose built for one thing. Now you need to buy another daily, and then you do that, and then there's 5 of those cars at your house. Right.
Every 2 years, I'll put a poll on Facebook or something, right? And I'll be like, hey, help me figure out what my new daily is. I want a car that's fast enough that I won't modify it. I buy it, and I modify it, and I'm like, well, I got another race car.
I need something slow enough that you can't modify it, and then leave that as your daily.
There's no such thing. Hondas are fast.
Well, like the XB. The XB is the perfect daily. It really is a perfect daily.
I'm getting way too comfortable in that, by the way.
And it's easy.
Easy. No, I mean, but
it's a great.
I'm not hurting it.
No. But I mean, with drifting, the problem, I'll give you the negatives from my side of the
Sure,
table. And I love going to drifting events, and I love watching drifting events.
They're entertaining.
I have 0 drifting skills. I mean, I can throw car sideways a little bit and do a little bit of stuff, but sure.
Maybe not die.
But it went to professional driving schools, and it's like you were saying, counterintuitive.
It is counterintuitive
to what they teach you.
Yeah.
Because it's like, stay on this line, don't shift in a corner, all this stuff that you're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
To get the fastest entry and exit speeds, and you know, I mean, and I've seen guys drift past guys that are trying to road race, and they've got twice the power. They've got to have twice the power.
So I don't remember who it is. You'll probably know who it is, but a well-known racing driver who became an instructor said that in road racing, the guy who will win is the guy who goes the straightest for the longest amount of time. Meaning the guy who has to turn the least.
Right.
Who's figured out the line.
It slows the car down.
It slows the car. You're right. And drifting is the literal opposite of that.
Right.
Which I think is why it's so inaccessible for the layperson.
Well, the thing is, it's like I think drifting is more like stunt driving.
It is. It's more than racing.
The idea in racing and the other types of racing, like road racing and stuff, is to keep control of the car, keep the car flat, keep the car going straight the longest,
consistent lines,
consistently, and do the same thing over and over and over again, like a watch. With drifting, it's throwing the car to the edge, if not beyond the control, and then bringing it back. And it's more like stunt driving.
Yeah.
Like with drag racing being so mainstream and everybody kind of does it, like
everyone knows what it is.
Everybody knows what it is.
Yeah.
Everybody knows where to go.
Everyone's dad or grandpa did.
You got these people that are street racing on the streets. And,
yeah.
You know, I mean, it's really not that expensive to go to a drag strip.
No.
You know, and I'm 100% for legally racing your car.
Well, we're lucky. We're lucky here in Orlando because our local, I'm not going to name it in case they don't want this out there, but our local drag strip allows you to do drag racing.
Matches, yeah.
Well, I didn't want to put a name on it. But yes. They allow that.
I don't like this guy. I'm going to go faster.
Yeah, and I'm going to put money down on it, and you can do that. So now, what they've effectively done is they've removed any reason why you would street race instead of drag race.
Sure.
With the exception of whatever they charge you to drag race, it was like $20 a night.
But the problem is,
when
you go to street racing,
yeah,
it's the dregs of the cars. It's
cars
that run a 16 and think it's fast. Now, I'm not for nothing, but it's those guys that don't want to put up. If getting on the track and racing was $5, they wouldn't go.
But here's my point, though: for the people who say, "Well, the appeal to street racing is I can do bets." Well, if you have a track that allows you to do bets, and the price of admission is, say, $10 or $20 a night, and you're doing $500 bets, what do you care about $20? Oh, they came home with $480.
But you know, it's like gambling. It's gambling, and if it's legal, it's legal. And it's not. It's not. But it's like that's. The whole point is it's a place to do it.
Yeah,
a couple of bucks to do it safely.
You can make money
with drifting. It's the cars, at least in the grassroots level. I'm not talking about the high. Okay, because tire sponsors and all that. But the guys that are coming, with their 240 and an extra set of tires in the trunk of their car and their race. Most of it is the cars blow up, or the cars crash, or the tires blow off, or because they're using some old tire that hasn't been used in 10 years.
Well,
sit on a pile somewhere.
Yeah. So here you're actually kind of getting towards an interesting point with drifting, and I don't want to spend the whole episode talking about drifting, but as much as I love it. But there's a horsepower number. I think it's somewhere between 600 and 800 wheel, depending on the car, where you don't have any more fun in your car, but it is more entertaining for a fan. Right.
Oh, okay.
And that's okay. So then there's that difference,
right?
Where arguably you're not going to have more fun in a given chassis at 800 wheel horse than you will at 1,000 wheel horse. But you'll make more smoke, and fans like that, and that's where FD kind of comes in.
Were you there when the old drift track was it CFRC?
CFRC, yeah. I was
there. Were you there the last day?
I was there. I was there. I wasn't.
And they were drifting 6 cars, tandem, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was stuff that you'd never see at an event. It was crazy. I remember sitting up on the stand, up on the judging stand.
Oh, the little...
under it, right?
Oh, okay.
The lower level. And with
folding chairs where
Chelsea Denofos, pro. And we're sitting there, and these cars went by, and the smoke hit us so hard, I looked at him and said, yep, I have cancer.
We all do.
We weren't there. We know we're going to die. But, I mean, the thing with drifting is, there's the grassroots guys and there's the pros.
Yeah.
And like I've said before, I think drifters' personality type is a lot like a skateboarder. Like they're skateboarders that got a driver's license.
We all are.
Or
we all,
BMX or and that's the personality type. That's that, I'm going to take the bare minimum device and I'm just going to run it to the wall as fast as I can.
Well, yeah. Well, okay. So to be fair, obviously, building a race car and then throwing it at walls is a pretty expensive hobby.
Sure.
Like drifting is probably the most accessible financially of all the like motorsports you can get into, but it's not. It's the cheapest, but it's not cheap.
No.
So like, yeah, all of us are ex BMXers or ex skateboarders who got a job, and we were like, hey, injuries that used to take a day or two to heal from now take a week or a month. So this isn't really.
I am not the crumple zone.
Yeah. Like I can't afford not to work for all this time. So we get into drifting. I think
never heard that point, but it's a
definitely
really good point.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's part of it for me. Like
you're reducing the injuries.
Yeah, well, I sound like a skateboard and a BMX bike, but I'm like,
but the thing is with drifting, it's hard to get that sport sponsored, that sport funded.
Yeah,
unless you're in the high end, because it's
so to your point,
cars are always so mangled up.
To your point, the big sponsors who sponsor like drivers and teams and cars are ones that exist in the BMX and skateboarding world as well, because they've also recognized that like it's a similar demographics of drivers, of fans. Like,
if they could figure out a way to make drift cars look like NASCAR, I think they'd get more money, because it's the advertising running around the track all the time.
I mean, the pro cars
stick it up to it. Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah.
So let's go past drifting.
Yeah.
For a minute. So then you have what's probably, you go to a professional driving school.
Mm-hmm.
There's some great ones around the country.
Bondurant.
Yeah. There's one.
Bondurant.
Bondurant. Yeah. There's one at I can't remember where the place. It's out in Vegas. It's like some sort of silver something.
Oh, I know the one you mean. I know the one you mean.
But there's. I mean, you can look them up and see what it is. Usually you start out like a Dodge Dart and you end in a Viper kind of thing.
Yeah.
I went to one when I was growing up in the Poconos at Pocono Raceway.
Yeah.
There was this guy. He was an old professional race car driving a Barrel Ruse. I don't even know if he's still alive. I doubted he was old back then. And he had like his own slide car. It was like a Dodge Daytona. You flip the switch, the back wheels would turn. And he had all this crazy stuff he was trying to throw at you. And you took your finals in like a 2.3 liter open wheel car.
Oh, like a champ car.
Yeah.
Champ car,
Oh, what a bullet! Like a bullet. You see the light flash before your eyes, but he was great at telling.
Giant go kart.
He was great at correcting you without making you feel stupid.
Oh, so he understood how to be like,
hey,
you're doing this.
Yeah,
maybe try
this
that.
Is your seating position, your hand position.
Yeah.
And he really paid attention to what you were doing.
He was invested in the craft.
He was
making you a better
good teacher.
Yeah. And I'm sure some of these bigger schools are like that too. But
and then go into something like, say, SCCA or NASA.
Red Line.
We're not talking about lemons, which is
no, but time attack.
Right. Well,
I think is where we're going with this.
Yeah, it's time attack. It's basically time attack.
Yeah.
But it gives you an opportunity to, go out and drive in a safe, open area. We have runoff space.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to hit something, it's going to be a cone. We're not talking about trying to be an idiot leaving a car meet and hitting somebody.
You mean a Mustang driver?
The oval thing with the horse.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
So that thing. But it's like it's a whole different meaning of the word "pleasing the crowd." But the SCCA stuff is like, I know a couple of people that do it, and they are their personality type is the exact opposite of the skateboarder.
Well,
type.
no, for sure, because
they're
not
all
counting time
engineers
attack.
or
not counting time attack,
OCD.
but like the GT2 and GT3 and like all the sort of the SCCA classes that a regular Joe or Jill can just buy a car and get licensed and go drive. Sure. Those people were typically people who, like you said, like business people, like white collar laborers, like whatever you want to call it. And like they had different personality types, and there are some of more like my personality type in there. Those, for what it's worth, those people tend to be the more fun drivers. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone out in a bunch of drift cars, and that was a really fun experience. And I wouldn't go out there and make a fool of myself. But you go out to some of those events, and there are amateurs out there. They don't know any more than I probably did walking out there in the car. If I go, I'm probably just going to be some obnoxiously hardcore car. So if I'm going to do something stupid, I at least look good at it. But so SCCA and this time attack stuff, you got to get in kind of the network.
Yes.
Kind of like drifting is. You got to get into your own network and look it up and see where they're doing events. And
yes.
They're usually pretty organized. They're
There's
classed, very smart.
There's a very good site.
Yeah, there is a very good site.
Just for that purpose.
Coming soon to a computer near you. Yeah. But even when that's up, you'll be able to search by what you want. And the other thing is, other kinds of racing, like this, you can get some track days. NSX owners like me, track days are things we talk about and unfortunately never do. But it's like, and what makes me cringe is every time I've ever watched an NSX track day, there's always some guy that clobbers one.
Yeah.
And I just go, oh God, my car just became more money. Let me just keep it in the garage.
You know what I find funny, and you're not the only NSX owner I know. As a matter of fact, I'm friends with a guy who has a shop that almost exclusively services NSXs. I'll tell you after the show. But
I wonder if it's the same guy that works on my car.
Could be. But what I find interesting about NSX owners is that all of you will happily take any amount of time to talk about what makes a car so great and so special and so unique. Which is true, I think, of any car, any revered car, yeah. And all of you will talk about how much you want to track.
No, I know.
The car. I'm not making fun. I'm just making an observation.
100% correct.
And then when an event comes up, it always gets, oh man, I can't afford to write
My
it off.
mistake, I can't afford
to break it.
I'm like, I always miss them. And the NSX guys have got up together and done it. Unfortunately, every year when they do their track day, it's the day that they do Festival of Speed. I'm always at that event. So it's just
what a convenient
what a
convenient
that is. Yeah. Well, it's good. I not only get to go to that event, but I have a competition when I'm there. But when you go to road course events, because I used to do a lot of that stuff when I lived up north, Watkins Glen, stuff like that. And I did it in like the worst car ever. I did it in a Fox chassis Mustang.
Those cars are actually surprisingly capable.
They are, but
with money.
You're almost a drifter. I mean, they're not
short wheelbase.
Yeah, the brakes suck.
Yeah,
light
rear.
In drifting, you have to put different tires on to drive home. I would have to put different brakes on the car to go home. They were that bad.
Put brakes on it at all.
Yeah, because they were just horrible, and they were drum rears, and so I upgrade to like SVO brakes. But yeah, so road course is great stuff too, because you're really on a racetrack.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
racing your car.
You're on a racetrack, I guess, wherever you are, depending on what the event is. Like
no, but I know what you mean. Like it's a different experience to be on a track drifting than it is to be on a track like grip racing. And I've done both, and it's a totally different feeling.
Because when you're grip racing in a car, you're looking at the windshield.
Yeah.
When you're drifting, you're looking at the
side
window.
For braking compliance.
You're looking at the side window.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No. Yeah. But even the sensation is completely like the focus is different. Everything's different.
But I think road racing.
But both are really fun.
To watch the cars road race.
Yeah.
Is boring comparing to watch cars drift and drag race.
Well, I took
the visceral part of it, the smoke, the sound, the engine screaming. I mean, it's like, wah. You go down the road course, and he's 0.3 of a second faster than the next guy. I get it.
But I tell you what, I took my E30, my drift car, E30, not my M3. I took that like 3 years ago. I took it on a tarmac rally.
Nice.
And softened up the suspension and changed my tires and all this stuff. And I finished third from last in my class. Not overall in my class. And
you are the biggest loser.
Interestingly, I finished building the car that morning at 2 a.m., had to be on track at 7 a.m. My BMW was the only one in the field that didn't break. Every other BMW broke. But that's not my point. My point is that I had
just loading up my gun for me, right?
Well, I figured if I made the joke and you didn't make the joke, it would be better for me. But I had the most fun doing this tarmac rally through this crazy environment. I had so much fun doing that, even though I didn't do very well at all. I had so much fun, but the feeling was completely different. It's a different type of fun, but they're both really fun. And they're both really accessible, and I think that's kind of the point.
I miss it. I miss Watkins Glen. It's in Atlanta, there, and it's like it's a really great track.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the problem with some of the tracks here in Florida is it's so hot in the summer, and you're ripping around.
We mean the summer.
Well,
so hot,
the day,
except for in the winter. Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, so what other? I mean, that's pretty much it, right? I mean, there's really not a lot of.
Those are the most accessible, I would say. For sure.
Lemons and stuff is.
Well,
it's a new thing.
Lemons is accessible, but like, I don't feel it. you wanted to say no one's ever going to take drifting seriously. No one's ever going to take lemon seriously. But it's not meant to be taken seriously.
Well, it's called lemons, but I think drifting. No, don't misunderstand. I think drifting is taken seriously. I just think it's out of all of those sports the hardest thing to get financial support of. There's a reason Formula One makes tons of money because they started out millionaires.
Yeah.
And no one who's ever run for president has had $50. You know.
Yeah.
They're $13 million, and I'm probably wrong on the number, but $13 million cars. You know, there's money. The money's already there. Look at the sponsors.
Well, I think you're right, and I think that what
NASCAR, too, Mainstream.
What any flavor of grip racing has in common with any other flavor of grip racing that is absent in drifting is that it's not an easy concept for the layperson to understand. There isn't a first, second, third, fourth, fifth. It's not.
It's like into figure skating and ballet.
Yeah. Yes. It's style based and
it's finesse and
finesse.
And you're making the car literally dance and.
Yeah.
And then the guys come up, the little West German sound, you go to 9, and you get the little card comes up, and all talk of, it's in the fix kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Drifting doesn't have a clear defined winner. You can't take a picture and say this guy won.
Yeah, and everyone will agree.
Right.
That it doesn't work that way.
And most people don't understand the fine details of the way it's judged.
Well, and the problem too is, and this is something that's especially frustrating for people like me, is that even when you do understand the criteria to the letter, you'll see something, you'll make a call, and the judge will go the other way, and you'll go,
Well, I've judged car shows for a million years. I'm sure there's people that are miffed that they didn't win. I've had people argue.
But there's a difference between being miffed and genuinely not understanding what.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And and that's the thing. I think the problem that drifting fans have, especially like ones like myself that have been involved in the sport for like 10 years, is we have a very thorough understanding of how it works, and we still get calls wrong. But all of us make the same call, and it's not the judge's call. So how's a fan that has no idea how any of this works gonna get into this and go, oh yeah, that makes sense?
No, it's
you know
true.
What I mean?
We've both have friends that we knew when they were as grassroots as they get, and now they're up there.
Some of the same friends.
Some of the same friends.
Yeah.
And I, it's nice to see their careers go up. But I think it's like with most things, just because you don't love something as much as somebody else does doesn't mean you can't respect it.
No, agreed.
That's what I mean? Like I'm building.
So you're saying you respect drifters?
I do. I think I respect anyone who can do something I can't.
Okay.
Okay. I respect astronauts.
Well, who doesn't?
But
yeah.
But I mean, we're don't tell anybody, but we're in the process of building a drift car. So yeah. But the whole thing is, I won't be the guy driving. You'll probably be the guy driving it. I probably won't be the guy driving it. But it's, I don't have a problem with it. I like going to the events. I've gone to numerous ones. We both have friends that put on events. And I've gone to drifting events all over the United States. So it's.
So you get it.
I get it.
You like it.
I get
it's
it.
entertaining.
They're definitely entertaining.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It's hard when like I'm in the marketing end of the world, and it's like
That's
people come to me and go, "Hey,
how do you
know
sell
all
this?
these people.
Yeah.
How to get me a sponsor? Give me a tire sponsor. Give me a wheel sponsor. Good luck. Tires and wheels are the hardest things in the world to get sponsorship on anything because they wear out. Tires wear out.
Yeah.
It's like Hawk will probably throw you a set of pads before a tire company will throw you a set of tires. And so you're going to burn them up in one day.
Yep.
So it's hard, but
easily
the cold hard truth about drifting is the funding of it.
It's true.
The people going to the event and participating, the attendees, they're the ones funding it. There's not a lot of companies in there, barring Formula D and the big dogs, funding this stuff at the grassroots level.
And you do have that with Time Attack. You do have that with the SCCA.
Right.
And NASA's getting to the point where you have that.
If you can show some good times and a
they're objective.
pretty car, they will hand you their latest track compound tire because they want to be able to say that this guy who's relatively
doing these
unknown
times,
is pulling it off with an amateur level car.
And that's where Time Attack or wheel-to-wheel racing has a distinct advantage over drifting is that the results are objective. The time is the time. The place is the place. Like, you don't need to judge
the other thing too with drifting is weather.
I was trying to get you off of drifting.
Oh no,
but
weather in Florida, for example. If you don't like it, wait a minute.
Yeah.
If it rains, drag racing stops. If it rains, road racing stops. If it rains, SCCA stop.
Yeah.
If it rains, drifters whip out an umbrella and drift.
Continue drifting.
And it's easier. And tires don't wear out as much.
Although a lot of people aren't good at it, which is really interesting, considering that we all live in Florida, and I'm okay at it. So,
but so I mean, I guess the point is, whatever sport you're into, whatever, if you have a car that does something like, or the one thing we really cover and we didn't get into, but we'll hit briefly, is rally. Like the firm here in Florida does it.
That's an excellent complex.
And for Subaru owners or Evos or anything that's all-wheel drive and they want to go out, or even not all-wheel drive, want to go out and just tear it up in the dirt, there's that, and that's growing because I know a lot of people that are getting into that now, Subaru people.
I've always wondered why rally didn't do better in America generally.
Yeah, we got woods and stuff. Yeah.
I mean, well, if you think about it, like,
it's kind of a European thing.
Well, I know it is, but think about the roots of NASCAR, right? Just some redneck guys doing some illegal stuff, going through the woods in the dirt, in their home down the cars.
Beach or whatever.
What are rally cars doing going through the woods in the dirt? You know what I mean? Like, there's so many parallels.
I don't think you want to take a NASCAR through the woods.
No, but that's how it started. That's how it started. And, like, or as part of how it started. And, like, you would think, okay, well, like, there's so many parallels here. And, I think rally has a very sort of anti-authoritarian sort of air about it. Like, it's cool to see these race cars barreling through the woods instead of on pavement.
We're actually going to have a guest
at some
point soon that's a friend of mine. It's a girl that rallies.
Yeah.
She has a Subaru. We sold her one a while back. She has a beautiful STI, right out of STI. That's her show car. And then she has a GC8 that's a track car.
GC8?
A rally car, yeah. And she's really good. She's really good. Ironically, she's a parts manager at a Subaru dealer, which probably comes in handy when you're breaking stuff. But if you want to, break your car, jump it through the woods.
It's like a job with BMW, actually.
So, whatever you like, if there's something we missed, bring it to our attention. But I mean, if it's something you're into, definitely stick with it and try to get better at it. I mean,
and there's a path.
You just got to keep nagging me till I actually take my car on a road race.
I will.
All right, guys.
For your benefit.
For my own benefit. All right, guys. See you next week.
Thanks.